As it
Even though
relates,
you're not a Chelsea fan.
even though I'm not, even though if
Okay.
they start winning consistently, maybe I will.
Sad. Real sad. So the first thing somebody asked him was that if he regretted Declan Rice moving away from Chelsea, and he was like, "We have a good academy, can't take everybody. The players who did stay, they're good. You know, there are really no regrets." But he's happy for Declan Rice. I mean, everybody has been going on and on about Declan Rice needing to come back, and we need Declan Rice. And I personally don't think that we need Declan Rice right now, but would you say that we need Declan Rice as a backup for Kante?
I think ultimately N'golo Kante's years need to be wound down or wind down. He's got a lot of miles on those legs. I mean, had a very good career at Leicester City. Is having a very good career at Chelsea. I mean, has won everything outside of a Champions League trophy, and he's won a World Cup. And it's time to start getting the heir apparent in place. And if Declan Rice is that heir apparent, then I think it's time to start making that move. Chelsea is going to have to put up some money to get him though, because I know he's doing quite well at West Ham.
They have to pay 60 million for Rice, and to be fair, you're not going to bench Kante right now. Yeah, you might take him out for a game or two, but you know, Rice is going to be the one on the bench for most of the time. Is he really going to come from West Ham to come and sit on the bench at Chelsea?
Well, all right. So how many years do you think N'Golo Kante have left in those legs?
I would give it at least 2 years.
All right. So you give Angola, and I don't disagree with 2 years of Angola at Chelsea. To maximize Angola in 2 years at Chelsea, I would rather him play in the big games. I'd rather him saving for Champions League games, the meaningful matches, the big clashes, and then let Declan Rice play some of those games.
I don't know because I mean, don't coaches look for consistency? They kind of want that consistent back five, if you think of it like that. The four, the goalkeeper, well, and Kante. That's
Mhm.
kind of a defensive unit. I mean, I don't see Frank wanting to change them in and out, change them in and out, and
Mhm.
then also, I mean, Declan right now knows and acknowledges. He actually made a statement a couple weeks ago saying that he kind of, not even a couple weeks ago, I think it was like a week ago, saying that he looks up to Kante and the things that Kante does, he wants to get to the point where he can do that. So he's already acknowledging that Kante is above him. I
Mhm.
don't know if we want to, even in the later games, you don't want to lose it. So I don't know if we really want to put Kante to sit for most of the times until we have the big games. I would think that Kante is the one that we want to play in as many games as possible.
I would like to protect that guy. He's such a huge part of this team, and it would be nice to have him mentor the next, whether it be Declan Rice or whomever that person may be. It
Hmm.
would be nice to have some overlap in the years between Angola and that heir apparent because he has so many things to teach. Um, when you look at how he covers side to side and how he breaks up plays, he's almost irreplaceable.
Right, right.
So I mean, I'm sorry to tell you, Chelsea fans. I mean, it's
I
gonna be
know
hard.
we're gonna suffer when he leaves. Let's put
It's
it
gonna
like
be
that.
hard.
We're
He's
gonna
almost
suffer when he,
irreplaceable. The things he
unless
does.
unless we get somebody who is like him. We're gonna, which Declan Rice might be good, but I wouldn't put Declan Rice on his
No.
level.
What about Bakayoko?
Baka who? Baka
Bakayoko.
Baka. Didn't we sell him eventually
No,
to
he's on
Napoli?
loan at
No,
that
but they were
Napoli or AC Milan. No, he's on loan in
in
Italian
Napoli.
football.
No, but I think they were asking to buy him, and I thought we sold him.
But I mean, we could Google it real quickly. I doubt.
We don't need Bakayoko. We've given him his chance. He's good to go. He's good to go.
But N'Golo Kante, a special, special, special player. The depth of knowledge in terms of reading the game
Mhm.
is, yeah, you can't teach that stuff.
What do you think about Havertz and Werner? Because this is problematic here, right? I just feel like, so a point I was making this week is this. Pulisic came in, if you remember, if you were kind of paying attention to Chelsea. I know you're not a Chelsea fan, so you weren't
Oh, I
watching
watched
us
them.
week in and week. Oh, you do. Oh,
Yes,
okay.
I watched
Well,
them.
well,
I watched
anyway,
them.
anyway. So Pulisic came in, if you remember, and I remember there were like a couple months, maybe like 2 months, where Frank pretty much wasn't playing him, and all of America was going crazy because why you not playing Pulisic? Why you not playing Pulisic? And then Frank started to bring him off of the bench,
Yes.
and in the 30 minutes or so he would get in game, he would like light it up, and that's kind
Yeah.
of how he earned himself a starting spot in the team.
Hmm.
My thing is, why, how come Havertz and Werner pretty much just waltzed in to the team, right? They waltzed in, and not only did they waltz in, but I guess they were playing good at first, right? I think Werner was scoring, but he scored like 8 goals in all competition. Havertz was playing well as well. Now, Frank is a guy who says he goes on merit, but honestly, it's been maybe 5, 6 games now that Winner has not been he hasn't been scoring. He's been missing like sitters. Havertz, since coming back from COVID, actually he came back from COVID and he waltzed his way back into the team. And he definitely has been non-existent. What's their problem? What's going on with the two of them?
I actually I never looked at it that way. Where the analogy you make to Christian Pulisic, Captain America, yeah, I mean, he was brought along by Frank Lampard when rather than just waltz into the team, and now we're seeing Timo and Kai, pretty much waltz in the team. Uh that this is a tough one for me. It's a tough one. I think with Kai, there are those of us are a lot of people who are a lot smarter than me football wise, who thinks that he's not being played in his correct position. I've noticed that Frank have played him on the right side of the midfield. Sometimes he played him on the right side of a front three. Uh, he seems to be best served in that middle part, right behind the striker, somewhere there. You
Mm-hmm.
know, but it's hard to compare Kai at Leverkusen to Chelsea, and that's the body of data that we have. Because unfortunately, but because Kai at Leverkusen the team was built around him.
Right.
Everyone supported him, and where the Chelsea is not going to get that. I think Kai just needs time, and that's the job that Lamp's gonna have to figure out. The thing that epitomized Timo for me, unfortunately, that I can understand why people get a little bit upset. I think it was this recent game against Wolves.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember. I think it was Christian Pulisic, whosoever was on the left side, beat a few players and put it on a plate for Timo Werner. And I get that strikers miss sitters. I get that strikers kick and miss stuff. But I thought he scuffed the shot. And my concern about Timo Werner after scuffing the shot is he mentally gets down when things like this happen. And I've seen a lot of great players who are fantastic in terms of talent wise, but mentally, can they ride through the struggles? And Lampard's going to have to figure that out. In this 4-3-3, Timo Werner needs to try to drift more. He needs space.
Mm-hmm.
He's most effective in space. And a lot of these ballers are most effective in space. When he was at Leipzig, he played
Mm-hmm.
with two strikers, and that second striker often took a lot of advantage, a lot of defenders' attention off him, so he could free roam, that is,
Mm-hmm.
into that space. I know that for Lampard, he's got a tough job on his hands. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not defending him by any stretch, but he has to accommodate all these big players, and maybe Chelsea fans just give him a little bit of break here.
Right, and I get that, but my whole thing is, why are we playing him while he's struggling? Why are we playing him week in and week out while he's struggling? Why are we playing Havertz week in and week out while they're struggling? And I get that some fans are like, well, you got to play them for them to kind of, get better and get that confidence. But do we have to play them week in and week out? Can't we say, all right, we'll play you maybe in a game that we expect to win anyway,
Hmm.
and but in the bigger games, or in the games that we know those games are tough, we're
Hmm.
gonna, let, for example, let Cover start instead of Havertz, right? Because Cover
Hmm.
is accustomed, he was our player this season, last season. I mean, why in the world would we start Havertz in the Wolves game? We knew that Wolves game was going to be tough. Like,
Hmm.
we
Hmm.
needed we needed to have like a solid team going into that game. And, it's kind of sad to see, Havertz come in and be non-existent, and then we pretty much lost the game.
So, but in fairness to him playing these guys
Hmm.
so frequently, it comes down to injuries too, right? The
Right.
availability of his squad. So I think that assessment, probably I would reserve that judgment until he has the full squad available. And if he consistently plays them, then I will say, yeah, bruh, you need to chill out and bench some of these guys. But um with Ziyech being injured, and Hudson Odoi being injured, and then Christian Pulisic being injured, so I think he was a little bit maybe backed into a corner into having to play them.
Well, I think that was for Winner, right? Because I think at this point we have no choice but to play Winner because of the injuries. In terms of habits, there are two other players who could take his position, right?
So
And
who
that,
would you like to play, Gilmore and?
well, it would be Gilmore or cover. So
Okay.
Kovacic or Gilmore. And
So
so
Matthew Kovacic and Gilmore. Okay.
right would be the two players to take his position. But Frank is obviously, to me at least, favoring Havertz. And that, I understand that he believes in the player and stuff and all that is good, but I think that if he is struggling to adjust, then you don't play him every game, because in the meantime it's weakening the squad, right? You do want to play him, you don't want to just put him on the bench and not use him again, but at the same time I wouldn't say you should play him every single game.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, if it's a merit-based system, and he has alluded to that a few times. I mean, he's going to have to live up to that expectation that he has
Right.
set as a merit-based system.
Do you think that he should change the system while he has the injuries? Because he started to play the 4-3-3 and we were looking really good. But then we had the injuries, right? So we have nothing pretty much on the wings. There was one, was it the Wolves game? I think it was the Wolves game where the front three pretty much did absolutely, like, they couldn't do anything. There was no creativity.
Yeah.
Do you think some people are suggesting that while we have the injuries, that he goes back to the 4-2-3-1?
Four, two,
Um,
three, one.
or he changes the system somehow to suit Havertz and Winner. Like, would you say that he probably should change the system while we have the wingers injured?
So when he did the 4-2-3-1, and correct me if I'm wrong, if I'm not wrong here, but a part of this 4-3-3 system is to help Mason Mount and N'Golo Kante find their best position.
Yeah, yeah, it was, yeah, because N'Golo would be the one, the
Yeah,
sitting
sitting at yeah.
DM. Hmm.
And for me, the concern I have, if he reverts to like this 4-2-3-1, will those players now be in their most ideal position? Because I think for Chelsea is unequivocal, is without a doubt that N'Golo Kante's got to be at that base of that midfield.
Right,
And he doesn't need a bunch of help. He needs to be in that midfield position at the base.
right.
Um, that's a tough question, man.
Well, here's the thing. I guess maybe it's a matter of juggling, right? Because okay, even if Kante isn't in his best position, he
Mm.
can still play a solid game with and give you all that he's got, and you could still potentially, you could still, the probability of you winning is still high. However, what's the probability of us winning if we have a front three who's doing absolutely nothing like we saw in the Wolves game?
All right. I will answer that question twofold.
Right.
I don't want. I saw what happened with Conte out of position with what Mauricio Sarri,
Hmm.
and Frank Lampard also experimented with him out of position. I I don't want to see that again. I think it's a disservice to a baller that needs to be in that slot. And then that Wolves game, I think Chelsea lost that game making childish errors. And childish error at the end, most notably.
Hmm.
You know, for a veteran team at the back and for a team that has so many veteran players, I thought Chelsea neglected a key ingredient at the end. They went for broke. They were looking for that goal. And Even Stevie Wonder knows that Wolves will beat you on the counterattack.
Right.
You cannot just throw the kitchen sink and left the back door open. And I thought that was just a fundamental error that occurred in that Wolves game. And if West Ham, if against West Ham they lose, then I will say let's evaluate the system. The English Premier League is not going to give you such space, unfortunately, because teams are playing the slow block. So this is where now getting back Ziyech and Christian Pulisic to help beat players off the dribble and break down this defense. I think Chelsea is best assessed when their players are healthy, and or at least one of the two or three. Add in Cullen Hudson-Odoi in there, because these are the players when teams are playing the slow block are essential to beat people off the dribble and create space for Timo Werner. I mean, he needs space.